What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today when I talk to you about NIO, I want to go over some of the current data points, break it down what's really moving it, and go over everything else you need to know. But first, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down 2.02%, 406 the low, 416 the high. During pre-market, in fact, though, it did have a low of 402. So absolutely crazy stuff. And in my opinion, I think all of this is just straight up manipulation, because as of right now, 1.58 million shares are being increased by shorts today. And there hasn't been really any news to justify that. So I think that shorts are really trying to double down to break NIO on a technical standpoint. But 12.97% of the free floats being shorted works out to be 206.28 million shares. So kind of breaking the overall trend that they have been on, which is largely them returning. So going from a recent peak of 15.05 to where it is now. But given, if we go over here for a second, so 8.03 million shares have been traded. So factoring in the 1.58 from shorts, they're making up the majority of the volume. So I think this is why NIO is getting suppressed. The only thing that really came out is this right here. So we do have the weekly registration numbers. So Firefly went from 350 to 470 week over week. So good improvement, but I think that is a little bit on the low end for expectations. But again, I think that's good improvement week over week. Onvo 1280, 1664 this last week, so good improvement for that. NIO 3470 compared to 3930. So again, good improvement. That I think NIO is on the low end, so maybe that's why shorts are doubling down. But aside from that, the only other articles that are coming out are associated to 13Fs, which doesn't logically make that much sense to make decisions based on this. So for instance, a lot of articles are bringing up how JPM did reduce their position, and in a lot of different aspects. So calls, they did reduce their position by 97%, common stock by 95.3%, and they did also increase their puts by 4,008%. So kind of crazy. This is pretty much as bearish as it comes, but again, this is all technically from Q1, so it's not really justified to kind of make sound decisions based on delayed information. So let me know your viewpoint on that. But I do find it interesting how articles are bringing up JPM, but not really bringing up how Citi did reduce their puts by 50% and increase their common stock by 434%. So there's clearly a lot of manipulation as floating around. Just people are prioritizing the negative data rather than the positives. But then again, I think any long-term NIO investor already knows that there's a hell of a lot of manipulation out there. So let me know your viewpoint on all of that in the comments below. So in my opinion, I think there is going to be a fairly nice recovery today, but what do I know? Moving on from here though, looking at the options, 812,000 in calls, 171,000 in puts. Market's been open roughly 1 hour. So based on this, if it continues on the status quo, I think it's going to be on a little bit on the low end for today, but 47% of all the options being done are bullish in nature. And based on the bullish options, you see a consensus for it to be above that 450 for the most part, and even going into next week. Then the bears for it to be sub 4. So definitely a lot more upside is anticipated based on all that. No big transactions on the secondary market above $100,000. So I think it's just algorithmic trading reacting based on the negative articles and shorts. So this is why you're getting a lot of suppression with NIO. But aside from that though, with it at 410, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. So 384 is going to be a strong support. Given everything that's been coming out, I do not see that being touched whatsoever. Flip side, 438 is going to be the next strong target / resistance. And I think at the end of the day, this is why shorts are also increasing, because they're trying to break NIO, and they've done this many times in the past. So every time it looks as though that NIO is starting to build up some good momentum, break out in a technical way, you have shorts just increasing, kind of breaking their trend. So yesterday it did touch that 100-day moving average, bounced off of that, and currently it is flirting with that 50-day moving average. And that 50-day moving average is a very big deal for NIO. So this is why, again, I do feel that there's just a lot of manipulation happening behind the scenes. No new analyst ratings. The last one did come out by Citi. So kind of interesting stuff for that. And one also thing to keep in mind is JPM Nick, who has a 50% success rating, did give a hold $4.10 price target. And at the time, I do believe it was pretty much around that same price point. So it is interesting to see JPM do all of these kind of trades during that same time frame in Q1. So definitely it's it's interesting how the market is. So at the end of the day, if you believe in NIO bigger picture, take advantage of these manipulated lower prices, because once they do hit profitability, operations and the stock price will more kind of align a little bit better. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Are you buying the dip? Are you selling? I still do feel, which has been unannounced, but the next big catalyst is going to be their earnings. So I think at this stage in the game, we just have to kind of sit tight with the whole US China kind of pause for 90 days, them reducing both 115% on their tariffs. That's a huge catalyst. Now all we need is just the EU, and most likely that should be coming, I would anticipate, over within the next month prior to NIO's earnings. So it is what it is. Just have to kind of sit tight, deal with the manipulation, and keep dollar cost averaging. That's kind of the best way to go. So let me know your thoughts on NIO. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon and give buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Definitely worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.